daughter-in-law and granddaughter live in Stillwater. Karen is the chief head women's administrator for Oklahoma State in athletics and also soccer coach. And of course, her father-in-law, Bill Hancock, is the executive director of the college football playoff. And we're fortunate enough to have him join us now. And Bill, how are you?
I'm great, Robert. It's great to hear your voice. And you had your priorities right by mentioning Karen first, and then our granddaughter Andrea, and then me. That is the right priority. So well done.
I think that's the pecking order when you're in Stillwater.
Oh man, absolutely.
Well, and again, great memories with Bill and also his son Will, who was at Oklahoma State. And I think we all remember Will. We'll always remember Will. How's Nikki? How's your wife doing? That's when I knew I was going to have you on. I said, well, we got to ask him how Nikki's doing.
Oh, Miss Nikki is doing fine. My wife is a retired high school English teacher. Put in her 30 years, and she's enjoying being pretty much full-time grandmother, and of course these days full-time mask sewer. She's been real busy sewing masks, and she bought some Oklahoma State fabric, so she now has Oklahoma State masks, which of course I can't wear because I have to be neutral in my position. But we have some real cute OSU masks.
The funny thing is, I've got one right here. My wife sewed. She likes to take old T-shirts because they're soft, and so she's done a bunch of different colors. But I've got an orange one with gray ties, and I've got that here with me on remote. We just started back on remotes this week. Let's get to the business at hand. I just got finished mentioning. I just read the latest coronavirus update with regards to college football on ESPN. How crazy is this for you and your staff? And I know you came out fairly early in this and said, "Look, we can't predict what's going on, but we're going to plan to have a college football playoff." I think that's almost exactly the way you said it. But how crazy is this for your staff to monitor what's going on in the world with regards to something we all love, college sports and football?
Well, all of us football fans and people are all in this together. But of course, I look at what people are saying. But I'll tell you, Robert, there's just you just can't get caught up in the speculation because no one knows. And even if you wanted to speculate, you might make some statement this week, and by the end of the week or Monday, things would be different. So think about how much energy has gone into, kind of been wasted, frankly, on speculating. And I understand that's what people love to do, but I've as soon as I got comfortable with the fact that I'm going to have to deal with whatever decisions are made and go from there, I got a lot happier.
And I know I'm smart enough to know that's the case, and it's a roller coaster if you want to get on it. And right now, I'm still riding it. I haven't I haven't become so seasick or nauseated that I have to get off the roller coaster yet. And we are kind of coming up to, yeah, we're coming up to another date, May 31st. That's been an important date. Most of the power conferences set that. And how closely are you monitoring, and how much interaction do you have with some of those folks that are about to make the decision whether we're going to continue to ban teams getting together, athletes being on campus, even recruiting, which that doesn't really factor the college football playoff, but the NCAA has a moratorium on that till May 31st. We're coming up on that. So we're going to see either an extension or we're going to see things liven up a little bit.
Well, first of all, I want to go back to speculating, and you have to speculate, or let me say it differently, you get to speculate. I can't, and there's nothing to be gained for me doing it, but there's a lot of fun to be had for you doing it. So keep doing it. Even even though you know no one knows what's going to happen. Um, the dates that happen about players getting together and recruiting, and those are dates that we look at, we watch, of course, like everybody else. But it doesn't really have an effect on what we will ultimately do with the college football playoff. What will happen is at some point the commissioners and others, medical people, will decide what to do about the playoff. I mean, about the season, and then and only then do we will we begin to start thinking seriously about the playoff. We hope and we want the season to start on time, and we want that championship game to happen January 11th. But if it can't, it doesn't. We'll pivot and work accordingly. And I'll say one more thing, Robert. Um, 4 months ago today, actually, was the championship game in New Orleans. How about that? And no one on the planet, at least not that I know of, knew what we would be facing when we got to May 13th. So, my goodness, how the world has changed.
No, there's no doubt about it. In fact, that was one of the. I've got three questions left, and one of them was, and you do such a great job when you hand out that trophy when the games are over. I know you always have a big smile on your face. You're always seemingly very happy for the group that won the trophy, and in this case, something kind of rare in that you really presented the trophy to a team that was literally playing a home game because it was in New Orleans, because it was LSU. I've got to imagine, and it felt this way watching through the television, that that was as hyped a stadium. It was a good game too. Clemson. I mean, it was a tremendous game to watch, but that had to be one of the most turned up atmospheres for an event that's always that way anyway.
And we always have a great atmosphere. Well, we had a great atmosphere out in Santa Clara
Yeah.
when Alabama and Clemson played, and people were saying, "Oh, they're not going to go." Well, they did. And I talked to NFL fans who never had seen college games, and they were just blown away by the atmosphere of that game out in California. Um, the game in Atlanta with Georgia and Alabama, my goodness, phenomenal atmosphere.
Yeah.
And last year too, Clemson fans held their own, but there were a whole bunch of Go Tigers people there. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you got to brush up on your Cajun, or you might not understand everything Ed O says.
I happen to be in the camp of I love New Orleans.
Oh,
Some
me
people
too.
don't, but I love it there. I love
Oh,
the
I do
eating.
too.
I love the culture. I love the history. So yeah, I put a heavy dent in the gumbo allocation. Believe me.
I'm one of those geeks that goes on the cemetery tour because I think
I
those
love it.
are amazing.
Yep, I love it there. Well, I love to walk, and I used to be a runner, of course, and now I'm a
Oh,
walker. But one of my favorite walks is walking down the river to Cafe de Monde and load me up on some beignets.
there you go. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. If people realize all the climbing, the marathons. You've done what? Boston and New York twice each.
Yep, 15 marathons. I'm retired from that. Broke my hip a few years ago, so I had
Yeah.
to retire from marathoning. But I'm still on the bike and still walking 3 or 4 miles every day.
One of the things that's and that was another thing. LSU kind of broke into a group where we'd seen a lot of Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State. So far in the CFP, that there hasn't been a ton of I mean, not disparity, but ton of uh, variety. We've seen a lot of the same teams, but LSU was different. And I got to bring this up. That's one reason I think people around here are hopeful that we'll have a college football season with Chuba Hubbard returning, with Tylan Wallace, a veteran quarterback that certainly needs to improve, but at least he's been through the ringer as a starter, and then 10 starters returning on defense. And I know you can't tell from his attitude, can you, that Mike Gundy is eager to play some football. But this is a year where Oklahoma State feels like they've got a kind of not a generational, but at least maybe a decade's best team, and might have a chance to be in the mix for this. So we're all pretty excited if we can get to playing some football.
Yeah, I love the way that Oklahoma State fans follow their team and teams love their teams. There's such passion all around the country, in particular, but Oklahoma State really uh, is is real strong in that area. And no one, it looks like we have a great season ahead of us. There's some great players returning and some really exciting new young players. And I think we're all just hoping we get to have a season and see how that unfolds.
Well, and last thing with Bill Hancock, who is the executive director of the college football playoff, when this first got going, and I know, you were so responsible for so much of the advancement in the Big Eight conference, what you did with the NCAA basketball tournament, and hated to see it canceled this year, but the popularity of that event, a lot of that really kicked in when you were in charge of that event. As you get into this, and we've seen the college football playoff go down the road a little bit, is this about what you thought this thing would grow into, or are you kind of amazed that this is really so much so that you have to fend off the media all the time for wanting to expand it?
Oh, the popularity is something I did expect. I, College football is just awesome. And you touched on it. I spent 11 years in the Big Eight office and then 16 at the NCAA. And now this will be my 16th season in college football. And I'll never cease to be amazed by the power and the passion for college football. Television viewership in December, bowl games, outrating top tier college basketball games. People love the sport of football, and all of us that get to work in it are just blessed. And I'm just so lucky to get to do what I do. My goodness.
You're really good at doing it, and you've been a great friend to everybody here in your home state. And by the way, congratulations again, because I wrote a book through the folks there at the Oklahoma State, Historical Hall of Fame, and so congratulations on going into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. That's a tremendous honor. Um, and I'm guessing we'll see you maybe at Neil Patterson Stadium sometime if we've got soccer matches in the fall.
You bet. We try not to miss any Cowgirl soccer games. Some of them conflict with my football travel, but love Neil Patterson Stadium and love the job that the Cowgirls have done. And Robert, something that everybody needs to think about is the effect of the virus. It obviously affects every single person, but I want to shout out to the student athletes, football players, soccer players, volleyball, cross country, who are just right now sitting there and hoping to have a season this fall. And I'll just say to all of them, we're with you. We are with you, and we got our fingers crossed too, just like you do.
And I know that's with all sincerity, because that's one thing we all know about Bill Hancock. He is very sincere in all of his efforts and everything he does, and that's why I've enjoyed the relationship with you. And I'm glad you came on with us, and hopefully, we move positively, maybe into a fall with a football season, and we can all maybe get together some again at some point. But Bill, I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Robert. Great talking to you. Really appreciate you having me on. Take
And,
care.
and tell Miss Nikki I said hello.
I'll do it. And if you have any
All right.
grammar questions, just email me and I'll send them on to Nikki.
You know what? I'll do that. Even though that's kind of supposed to be my specialty, I notice I screw up in that grammar area every once in a while. But I appreciate it.
Take care, Robert.
All right, Bill Hancock, who is the executive director of the college football playoff. He's